So, a lot of you have been asking questions again on certain aspects of dealing with ships in the game and things that aren't making any sense whatsoever. And there's really no easy way to explain this to any of you out there that, may or may not look at the forum. But realistically, when it comes to it, dealing with scouting, or what it really, it shouldn't be radar. I think scouting is an applicable term. They say it right here. You see over here, scouting range. Doesn't say radar range. We have adopted it because when you go into um, research, you have radar, and radar does a certain range, and then you have, the scouting range based upon it. And I know the argument is, oh, that's not radar. Radar don't give a. Yes, yes, and no. And to be completely honest in that regard, let me pull up some DDs. What you run into with with scouting, and I've reiterated this 1,000 times, is it's a very base formula of visual range and actual scouting. Now, base scouting range is, as you're looking here, my ship is supposedly at 5,652 meters. Now, when you get into a game and you get down here in the lower right-hand corner of that square, roughly one square in that game is 1,000 meters. So you have a very general idea that I can see 5.5 squares in front of my ship. Now, just like if you're playing paintball or airsoft, when you wear camouflage at a certain range, the human eye cannot differentiate between the human and the camouflage, and you're hidden. Even if I can see 5,600 meters, if something is camouflaged, i.e., paint, you're not going to be able to see it at the maximum range because it's a diminishing return on the signal that you get. So paint adds plus 300 effect disguised. However, coupling that with Felix von Luckner's percent, I don't know what the base rate is. I haven't bothered cracking the game code for the Unreal Engine to find out yet. It's doable. We've done it in the past. I just haven't. So if you were to take, let's say, zero, no paint being the percent, and you add 300 paint, that could theoretically be 100%. That paint could be the 100% that you're seeing as a disguise. And then you take 5 and then 2 and then whatever else disguise you have up and down the line from each of your commanders. Which means that at 5,652 meters, I can see you if you're naked, but I can't see you if you're painted because your disguise is fucking with my eyes at range on water. Like you can look over here, like, okay, so that island back there, I bet you that's about, 5 to 6,000 meters. Now I can see the island out there, but I'm not gonna be able to see anybody on it because they're too small. That's what happens at range. You can't see it because your eyes can't handle it. Now radar, everybody's argue with is that radar would be able to see it, but see, radar works on a ping. Radar works in a circular system of ping, which is basically like a sonar setup. So it's not a flooded signal. There's delay time. So it's a radar is in this game a good mix of what you visually can see at all times and then a distance ping. Not the greatest setup in the world, but it's what we have and it's what we can work with, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. Now, with that, sorry, I'm getting over a cold. With that, you have ways to combat it. You have commanders that add scouting range. Now, basic scouting range, as it sits right here, easy way to explain this to people is the scouting range that, and the numbers over here on the right are very strict on their numbers. They only vary by 3 major points. So first off, if you take off um, all the commanders, you'll now notice my scouting range has dropped. That means my commanders, namely your captain and your commsman, are increasing the base scouting range of the ship. Now, if I were to, for example, unequip, Safe disassembly. Bam. Notice, okay, naked ship, 4,850 meters. You go into the tech tree, you look at the gearing, you go, oh, it says scouting range 5105. There are some issues with that. Notice 4862 is the first one, 5105 is the second one. There are some issues with the scouting range system, and you have to take that into consideration. Now, let's go ahead and add the rangefinder back. So it added 400 meters of scouting, 400 meters of scouting, 2 and 2. Now, first thing you do is, let's say we're going to put a commander on here. I am running Donald McIntyre. He's just awesome. Just can't tell you how badass he is. So, we put him on there and notice this number has increased. Well, he has increased other commander points by a certain percentage, which means these have a slight increase. He means overall he's affecting the ship's grandeur of scouting range. Now, for the comms, we're going to pick another comm specialist. We're going to drop to 0 on there. Now, if you notice, it jumped up to 56, 52. Basically, between those comms increase numbers, range, and his increase, it's increasing this static effect range here. What it's not counting is his 500 meters of Tenkoshaku there. Now, that will never show up on the right side simply because it's an effect that may or may not exist, and it's a lot on the server to tax and check, so you have to do the math in your head. Your base gearing scouting range is 56, 52. With Kazuo on there, that jumps it up another 500, so that puts you at 6,100 meters of scouting range. Now, if I were to just straight use, boom, the rest of my squad, you have an extra, so we start here. So there's 150 plus 5, so there's 650, plus another 150, so that's 800 meters. He doesn't give you anything. And he proxies 800 meters. So statically, I'm adding 800 meters of scouting, which brings me up to 6,400 meters, roughly. 65, if you want to, round up. Plus then another 800 on top of that for McIntyre when he proxies. So I can crack 8 squares worth of scouting. That's literally almost the whole map. And if you're not disguised, or if you fire within that 8,000 meters, I will see you. There is nothing you can do to hide you except have a higher disguise and be in a premium smoke. Those are the only two things that I have not been able to crack at close to 8,000 meters in range. It just, your disguise is too heavy. Also if the person is, for example, running a cunning commander, Kimura or Francois, to increase their disguise when they fire, if that happens, yeah, it's going to be hard to see the person, but that proxy is just kind of really better for just like a certain sliver of area. So, but getting back to the base epic, my ship can see up to 8,000 meters at its peak performance with a commander proxy. That's really freaking good and really covers the whole damn map, and it's hard to get away from, and a lot of people don't understand that. And this is where a lot of people get frustrated with the game, because that can happen in Tier 6. Now, the problem with Tier 6 is a lot of us run the Laffy Taffy. Now, if you notice, the Laffy Taffy base rate and the gearing base rate are but like, what was that, 52 to 56, so it's like 400 meter difference. My Tier 6 ship almost scouts nearly as far as my Tier 9 ship. And almost the same bloody armor. Now, what a lot of people don't like about that is the Laffy Taffy is horribly overpowered, and I agree to this. It was a really great gold ship for DD commanders, and while they put it on sale often, a lot of people won't pay for it, and that's fine. The ship is just literally a little bit overpowered, but again, you look, there's a 400 meter difference, so at max scouting range in Tier 6, I can see about 7,800 to, 7,500 meters, which is a significant portion of the map again, which is why a lot of people complain that the Laffy Taffy is overpowered. But I want people to also look at the M class for that series, and its scouting range at max is 4531, which is about 600 less than a Laffy Taffy. That's significant. Everybody says, "Oh, just get an M class, get an M class." The M class doesn't quite have the scouting range that the Laffy Taffy does. That was the one thing that Laforet has on it that a lot of ships people get mad at is the Laffy Taffy has a huge scouting advantage, and they've dumbed it down. Um, sorry. Um, so that's really the big thing. And then you look at your Fubuki. Wee, tiny little Fubuki. Z43. Notice the Z43 is significantly a jump higher than the Laffy Taffy. I honestly like the Z43. It's a fun ship. You gotta get used to it though. It's really freaking long. But back to the main idea of scouting. That's kind of the thing that a lot of people don't understand is the higher the power of the scouting, the greater the sight, the less likely you are able to hide from it. It's not that somebody's cheating or using overly abundant hacks. And, a lot of people running 5-star commanders, there's an even greater way to bump up scouting. I have a little more aggro um, destroyer setup. I haven't gotten Donald McIntyre to 10 yet. Obviously, as you can see, he's really flicking close. Um, but, a lot of these guys were 4 and 5-star, like Felix was 4 and Casper was 4. I just dumbed them down to do other stuff. But for now, they're going to end up going back to 4 and 5-star eventually. There's other commanders, obviously, in the grand scheme of things that are great for scouting and whatnot. Um, you just have to know what you want to play as and how you want to go. Like Andrew Cunningham is great for a ship um, if you're a heavy cruiser or a light cruiser. I honestly think he's better on those than a DD. Um, he'd be great to add in the calm spot just simply because mobile beacon. Kazuo works well because of the extra scouting as well. But if I ever end up with Andrew Cunningham, I might swap him out for Kimura Kazuo. However, the beautiful thing about Kimura Kazuo is at 5-star, you get rid of that stupid MG damage and you gain AA damage by 10%, which is significant, especially if you're a DD. Or even on a battleship if you want a little extra range. Um, Andrew Cunningham's 5-star ability is torpedo speed 2. Woo. But, overall, he's a great person to have on, you know, your cruisers. You could put him on a DD, though I do think having him on a sub would be fucking hilarious. Just saying, because everything gets increased. So, but that's pretty much it. I can explain it more if people have questions. Just let me know. Anyways, we'll be streaming, and I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao.